Morning as we go to the Parshas Sazria, which is in the book of Leviticus, chapter 12, verse number 1. God spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Jewish people. Lamer saying, Isha ki Sazria, the woman will conceive, Yolda Zacha, and she'll have a boy. Vitama Shivas Yamin, she'll become unclean. Pure, there's laws of impurity. She'll become unclean for Shivas Yom for 7 days. Kimei Nidas Daisa, according to a menstrual flow, as a regular woman who becomes impure when she has a menstrual flow, the Daisa Titma, that's the way she should become impure when she has a child. Ishika Zazia, Rashi says, Rabbi Shlomo said, just as in creation, man was created after all domestic animals, wild beasts and birds. In the creation, man was created at the end of the 6th day of creation. So too, in the laws of creation, the laws of kosher, and what's not kosher, what's pure and not pure, man is stated after the laws of last week, the end of Paisha Shmini, which spoke about the laws of kashrus. Kisazia, she says, what means I will conceive? It comes to tell us a case of woman who has, God forbid, a child, a stillborn child, that is a child that dissolves, if God forbid the fetus had matured, was subsequently dissolved in the womb, and resulting in like a mass, God forbid. According to the order of uncleanness mentioned in regard to a menstruating woman, so she becomes impure, gives birth. Daisa, what means the word daisa? Now she says daisa, this expression denotes substance that flows from her body. So it's not. It's like it's not only her menstrual cycle, but she has another something else coming out, and we differ. We don't know today the difference between a nida. Nida is a menstrual cycle, and daisa is a different kind of discharge, and therefore we go to the hardships of a daisa. Really, as we'll learn later, the difference between these two kinds of discharges. And the 8th day, when after the child is born, he shall circumcise the foreskin of his, he shall circumcise. And then for 33 days, she shall she shall remain in the blood of her purity. She's not allowed to touch anything that's holy. She's not allowed to come to the temple until she finishes the days of impurity. So 7 times 33 is 40 days. Now she says, ain't Teshev. Teshev doesn't mean she has to sit. Teshev over here means that she cannot come. She cannot go to the temple. She cannot touch holy things because she's impure. Meitara, it's not, even though she stopped bleeding. So after 7 days, or maybe before that, she stopped her bleeding. Could be, but she's still impure. You may tahara the way of her to leisiga. So over here, although the verse says you should not touch it, really the warning is not about touching it. The warning is about, God forbid, eating it. B'chol Kodesh, this comes to include truma if she was married to a kohen. To this woman, before she ritually clean, a woman is considered a tful yom. So she's considered a person that went to the mikveh, because she went to the mikveh. She could have a relationship with her husband after a certain 7 days. But she's impure for the Beis Hamikdash. She's like a tful yom. She went to some people that go to the mikveh during the day and ultimately are impure until the evening. And over here, she's impure until the end of the 40 days. If she has, verse number 5, if she has a daughter, so she becomes unclean 2 weeks. And then 66 days, so that's close to 80 days. So it's a double amount for a woman, because it's for a girl. If you have a girl, then if you have a boy. Verse 6, when she completes the time of her when she is considered impure for going into the temple and for the Beis Hamikdash and for going to the Beis Hamikdash, or she's a Bas Kohen, or not Bas Kohen, married to a Kohen, she can't eat Truma and she can't go to the Beis Hamikdash. Then at the end of her time, Tavu Kavis Ben Shnasei, she has to bring a sheep in the first year, La'oila for burnt offering, or Ben Yoina for a young dove, a turtle dove, Lachatas for a sin offering, Al Pesach Hayomer to the door to the tent, to the Beis Hamikdash. V'kil of Hashem, and they'll bring the offering for God. V'chipar Aleha, and bring forgiveness upon her. V'tahoida, and she'll be pure. V'mkarda meha, from the source of her blood. This is the laws of giving to a woman that gave birth, whether it's to a boy or to a girl. Now she says, the singular object comes to teach us that the only one of the sacrifice is not brought, holds her back from eating anything holy. And which is this one? This is a sin offering. As it says, a sin offering. The Kohen shall effect atonement on her for her. Thus, she is purified. The one who through which her atonement effects to the sin offering is the one who brings the real purification. B'tahira, and she is clean. What would the Torah underline? She is clean, to tell us that until that situation, until she brings the sacrifice, she is unclean. Verse number 8. If she doesn't have enough money to be an animal, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young doves, one for a sin offering, and one for burnt offering, one for a sin offering, and the Kohen will bring forgiveness on her, and she will become pure. So now she says, the Torah puts the sin, the burnt offering before the sin offering, and so far they must be read in the Torah. This is due to the higher esteem for the burnt offering, because it's burnt entirely. But the sacrifice and the sin offering precedes it really. So really, in the way it was brought, the sin offering was brought first, and then the burnt offering. But the burnt offering is holier than the sin offering, because it was totally brought on the Mizbeach, while the sin offering was not totally brought on the Mizbeach. Chapter 13, verse number 1. Torah now goes into the law of spiritual leprosy. Very complicated law in the Torah, which we don't have anymore, thank God. In the laws of skin leprosy, spiritual leprosy. This is not just a leprosy in the skin, like a regular leper, but this is a spiritual leprosy. God spoke to Moses saying, Adam ki seis. If a man has a seis, or a sapachas, or a beheres, she says the names of this, and the form, it will form a lesion of tzaras in his skin. That's why I say it's a spiritual leprosy, because he comes to Aaron the priest, one of his sons. Now she says these terms of seis, beheres, and sapachas are the seis and beheres are the 2 major lesions, and the term sapachas refers to categories related to the 2 major lesions. And one major lesion, namely beheres, is wider than the other seis. So you have beheres is the lightest one, and seis is a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. Beheres, Rashi says beheres, spots in old Taya, in old French. This is similar to the verse. It's like bohir. It's like in the sky. It's light in the sky, like the spots created by bright clouds in a blue sky. So Rashi is going to explain this. These in the goyim is that it has to be deeper, as the Torah is going to say. It has to be deeper than the lightness of the skin. Aladdin actually says it is a scriptural decree that the uncleanliness of lesions, tzaharas, this uncleanliness of lesions, and their cleanliness do not come but expect pronouncement of the Kohen. So this was totally left to the Kohen. As we'll learn, the Kohen had the power, in a way, to make this person tar or to make this person tummy. But and the Kohen will look at the lesion, the skin of the flesh, And the hair in the lesion turned white. Not only the lesion is white, the hair in the lesion turned white. And the appearance of the lesion is deeper than the skin of flesh. Tzedasi, this is a classical tzedas. The kohen will look at this nega, and he'll pronounce him that he has impurity. Now she says, at first the hair was black. If the guy has that white hair on his hand, so this would not work. So it had to be black, and then it turned white in the lesion. The minimum quantity referred to the term seyar here is 2. A person seyar is here is so singular or plural. Over here, the word seyar is plural. Thus, there shall be a minimum of 2 hairs that turn white. For the lesion, for law. So if only one hair turned white, it wouldn't be considered this law. We wouldn't have this, not the law of tzedas. Amikmar, now she says anything that is white with a white appearance seems deeper in contrast to the darker object next to it. So there has to be whiter than your skin. It has to look deep. Just as sunlight appears deeper than a shadow. So this had to be that it had to look deep, not it came out towards you, but actually looked like a deeper impression in your skin. Now she says she shall say to him, you are unclean. Tameata, you're unclean. Say a love and siman a white hair. So the second the kohen saw white hair, he would make it tummy. He would unclean because say a love and white hair, 2 white hairs in the lesion is the law. This is a Torah concept. Again, this is not this is not going to a doctor over here. You're going to the kohen. This is a spiritual concept. Just like the impurity of a woman, that she goes through menstrual cycles. She has a child is not a Torah, is not a sickness of the body. It's a sickness. It's a spiritual impurity. But if it is white beneath the skin of the flesh, and its appearance is not deeper than the skin, it's a different kind of whiteness. And the hair is not turned white, stayed black as the rest of the hair of your hand, of the person's hand. And then the kohen tells him you have to go into quarantine for 7 days. So Rashi says, from the classical Rashis, the appearance is not deeper. I do not know what's the meaning. Since white beheaded should always appear. How you have white against your hand, unless your hand is exactly like the white. But if you, then it's not a lesion. How is it possible that she says how do you say that? What's the meaning of this verse? How is it possible for whiteness of the skin not to be deeper than the normal skin? Lo yadaiti. The verse describes a case where it does not. Now she says he shall have him confined in one house. So that's it. I can make sense that there's no white hairs. But how is it possible to be a beheres and it's not deeper than the skin? It's impossible, Rashi. I don't know. And we'll see the signs indicates what happens if the whiteness becomes deeper, and if the hairs become whiter. Rashi says, I'm sorry. But he shall be confined in one house, and the person shall not be seen by the kohen until the end of the week. Only then will the signs indicate about him, whether it's clean or unclean. And the kohen will look at it as a 7th day. And behold, the lesion has remained the same in its appearance. Lesion are not even spread in the skin. And the kohen will lock him up for another 7 days. Ash says it's a reasonable appearance and size. If the lesion spread in the first week, then he's definitely unclean. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. We continue the 39th chapter of Tanya. It's really a spiritual. If you learned yesterday, it's the Alter Rebbe is explaining the journey and the levels of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. And the Alter Rebbe, having explained that Bria is the abode for the souls, serving God with intellect, love, and fear. And Yitzira, the Alter Rebbe explained, the world of formation is the souls that are serving with a natural love and fear. So as we explained, there's two kinds of love and fear in the service of God. One that is supernatural and no one that's natural. So the fear and love of a tzaddik is in the world of Bria, and in the fear and love of a lower level tzaddik is in the world of Yitzira. And love and fear. The Alter Rebbe will now discuss divine service of those souls who abode in the world of Atzilus. The quality of this service, the divine service, he explains, surpasses even the intellect and fear and love. And this level, who's tzaddikim, who become virtual chariots of God, they serve the Eibishter in the world of Atzilus, because they're not a love that's even Ava Misoteres. They're not even a love that is the love that you can't even characterize it as love. They're like they're totally nullified to God, a chariot for God. They will have no will save His will, and their very act testifies their utter self nullification before, and that's the world of Atzilus. The world of Atzilus, the Alter Rebbe says, is beyond intelligence. Forget about the intelligence, chachma, that's higher than emotions. It's not even a level of wisdom. Grasp and understanding were created being intellectually. Even a spiritual being in the world of Bria is, after all, a created being. So even though it's a very high level of intellect, it's a very high level of emotions, it's still a category. Atzilus is beyond its grasp as well. As you know, the Alter Rebbe couldn't even say the word Atzilus. For the Chochmah being endas, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the infinite light of God is united with Him there in the world of Atzilus. So in the world of Atzilus, there is Oiris and Kalim, there is lights and vessels, but over there the vessels are not even seen. So there's totally nullified in the Oir. So the vessels cannot be distinguished between one vessel and another vessel, because it's totally nullified in its light, and therefore it's totally united. The Yichud Osam v'Nifla, this is a very profound and wondrous unity. It's utterly, infinitely superior to the unity that's found in the world of Bria, the world of creation. Because in the world of creation, they descended to illuminate only to a restricted, contracted degree. And that's why the vessels are seen more. The vessels in the world of Bria have its own identity, while the vessels in the world of emanation have no identity. Because over there, the Chabad of Atzilus, referred to as Chabad of Ein Sof, radiates in Bria only in the light in a contracted way. But over here, the light shines in a very powerful way, and therefore the vessels are totally non-seen. Why did the Eibishter come down from Olam Atzilus, from the world of emanation to the world of creation? Because the Eibishter wanted that we should have intellect. Because the Eibishter wanted, God wanted, that humans, even tzaddikim, humans, would have the capability to use out their knowledge and use it out in a way that they comprehend God. Leidas Hashem, to know God. And to be able to have some kind of an understanding, in the infinite light of God. According to the extent of the intellect of a finite individual. That every finite individual, every human being is limited, created with certain capabilities of understanding. And the most important thing is not only that they should understand God. To achieve this purpose, a contraction of Chabad of Atzilus was necessary, least they, the created beings of Bria, dissolve out of existence. And that would happen to these neshamas, or to all of us, that don't have the capability to handle the light. We would totally dissolve in the light. And we would totally have no existence. So therefore, they didn't want that. God wanted that even the neshamas in the world of Bria should have their existence and to be neshamas in the world of Bria. And therefore, contract. Forget about this world. We're talking about in Bria, in the world of where the neshama it is in a spiritual world. The Eibishter wanted that the neshama in this spiritual world should have its identity as a neshama that way it was in this world, and it did learn Torah and did its avodah, that it would come up to the whole of the higher world and still have an existence and have a great understanding in God. The Eibush contracted the world of Atzilus so that it would come into the world of Bria, that these neshamas would have a comprehension in God and delight in the knowledge of God. Because if not, they would disappear. Like Yasim and they would return to they would cease to exist as created beings, revert instead to their source root, namely God Himself, to become nullified in Oyer Ein Sof. And that's not what the Eibishter wanted. God wanted that even a neshama should stay in extinct existence in this world and in the upper world, and therefore He made sure that the vessels from the world of Bria would be separated, not lose itself to the light of God, but actually have some existence, the vessel itself. So we're Chabad of Atzilus, to shine forth in Bria without being contracted, allowing the creatures of Bria to grasp godness as it radiates in the spheres of Atzilus. These creatures would have overwhelmed by the godly illumination beyond their capacity to absorb the result out of existence. That's what would happen. So therefore, the Eibishter made sure that the world of Atzilus contracted, the oid of the world of Atzilus contracted, and now the world of Bria, the vessels of the world of Bria, had its existence. And that completes the Tanya for today. Today is the 28th day of the month, which the Tillim, the Psalms for these days, is chapter 135 to chapter 139. You do those 5 chapters, you would do the chitas of the day. I invite you all at 10 o'clock. We will continue to learn Tanya together, either at the at Chabad, right near Chabad, the school right near Chabad, the JEI, or you're welcome to come on Zoom or on Torah Direct, whatever suits your situation. Okay, have a wonderful and beautiful day, everybody. God bless you all as we march towards the month of Nisan B'Mheida very quickly. On Tuesday, Be'ezat Hashem, is Chodesh, the month of Nisan. God bless you all. Hope to see you later. If not later, tomorrow, 8 o'clock, we'll continue to learn the chitas of the day. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.
See you later, alligator.